Exposed, incredible transformation as black woman fights back after 3 minutes of injustice. Maya woke up to the gentle, rosy light filtering through their small Atlanta apartment. Zoe, still asleep, curled up in her little princess blanket, looked like an angel. The air buzzed with the sounds of live car horns, distant laughter, and the fragrant aroma of coffee wafting from the cafe across the street. Maya took a deep breath, her chest tightening from the weight of the day ahead. 2 jobs, single mom, she felt the pull, but her love for Zoe pushed her forward every time. By the time she dropped Zoe off at school, her routine became a complicated ballet. Styling hair at the small-town salon meant hours of creating magic with her hands transforming frizzy curls to shiny straightness. There was a bond she shared with her clients, the joyful conversations fluttering from head to head like the leaves dancing in the wind. But as she finished each appointment, a shadow loomed overhead. She wrestled with the fact that the salon didn't quite pay enough to keep the lights on every month. Evenings unfolded into the vibrant hum of the local coffee shop, where she poured lattes and shared stories with regulars who found solace in her warm smile. They became a tapestry of laughter and shared memories, a reassured embrace amid life's chaos. "You're doing great, Maya," her neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, would often say, leaning across the counter. "Keep pushing forward." But on one particular day, that unwavering support would face a harsh gale. At a local business event, where hopeful dreams congregated, Maya felt an electric thrill charging her. She was ready to network, showcase her talents, and chase her ambitions. When she finally drew the attention of a fellow entrepreneur, eager to share her journey, the warmth in the air chilled near instantly. "Why are you here?" He laughed, half joking, dismissing her aspirations like a flimsy paper airplane. The chuckles of nearby attendees rang in her ears, morphing from excitement to mockery. A humiliation crashed against her heart, and for those 3 agonizing minutes, everything she had fought for felt diminished. Maya was left with an aching chest and stinging eyes, grappling with her worth against a sea of doubt. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Back at home, under the flickering kitchen light, Maya's tears proved relentless. Yet, love surrounded her, Zoe's innocent giggles and Mrs. Johnson's encouraging words shone like a beacon. The next morning, she woke up with a flicker of determination. No longer was she going to cower from someone's ignorance. She began envisioning a community project devoted to uplifting women of color, transforming their narratives and pushing against the walls built by society's biases. But as she prepared for the first gathering, insecurities whispered like faint echoes. What if it failed? What if she faced more ridicule? But then, standing in front of the mirror, she took a deep breath, clearing her heart of doubt. It was time to rise. A rally was set, and as the evening approached, her pulse quickened with anticipation. Maya stood on the makeshift stage, heart racing, surrounded by caring faces. It was now or never. She lifted her chin, voice steady, ready to confront the judgments that had shadowed her for too long. The lights dimmed, focusing on her trembling form, but within her surged a resolute fire. Behind her stood the vibrant community she had forged, love intertwining with fearlessness. As she began to share her journey, each word wove tales of resilience, and the air shifted, a palpable energy emerging from her truth. The echo of clapping hands filled the space, stirring hope unlike any other. Yet, just as moments of triumph hinted at a resolution, an unexpected doubt loomed on the horizon, a cliffhanger that left her heart balancing on the edge. Would her fight break the chains holding her back, or would the weight of her fears remain an anchor? Maya's voice cut through the heavy air like a whisper of wind through the trees. Each phrase gripped the audience, fueling their attentiveness. Women leaned in closer, nodding, some wiping away tears. She spoke of struggles, of nights spent wondering if she'd ever find a break, and of the insidious doubts that crawled into her mind. For every person who had belittled her, there were dozens who had stood by her, encouraging her light to shine brighter. As she continued to pour out her soul, the faces around her morphed from skepticism to support. It was breathtaking. In that radiant moment, she felt the walls that had confined her for so long beginning to tremble. But as she approached the climax, an abrupt rustle toward the back caught her attention, pulling her focus. A figure emerged from the shadows, his presence instantly palpable. It was the same entrepreneur from the event, the one whose laughter still echoed in her thoughts. A stir rippled through the crowd as he approached the stage. Maya's heart stopped. What was he doing here? Excuse me, Maya, his voice boomed, sincere yet edged with uncertainty. I didn't mean to belittle your work. I was wrong. We need voices like yours. He scanned the room, catching the incredulous looks on the faces around him. You're transforming this place with your story, and I've been blind to that. Maya's breath caught in her throat. Could he really mean it? A mix of disbelief and hope swirled within her. Yet, within the glimmer of this unexpected twist, her heart also gripped the familiar knife of skepticism. Was this a sincere moment, or a mere attempt to save face? As the crowd's murmur deepened, Maya felt the floor beneath her shift. She could choose vulnerability. She could choose forgiveness or the easy route of dismissal. Each option spiraled within her mind, battling the fear of vulnerability against the desire to rise above. Thank you for recognizing that, she managed to say, her voice steady despite the storm inside. But this is bigger than one moment of misjudgment. It's about solidarity, lifting each other, and owning our space. A slow applause began to build, fists raised and voices cheering. She could almost see the barriers breaking, the walls coming down, as she took that powerful step beyond anger and into unity. As her heart ignited with purpose, she realized this wasn't about her fight alone. This was about every woman, every soul that had ever felt minimized. But still, the shadow of doubt lingered like a thin fog. Would this moment carry forward, or would it dissolve as easily as the applause faded? After her speech, as the night wound down, Maya was flooded with texts and calls. Each message filled her with warmth. It was a network she had never truly embraced before, one fueled by recognition and need. Women began to reach out, sharing their own stories of resilience and struggle, creating an ever-expanding bond that wrapped around her. Her community was rising, yet, with every affirmative message came the question, how do I keep this momentum going? She lay awake that night, excitement and trepidation twirling around her like leaves in the wind. The following day brought an icy chill, bouncing against the warmth of her newfound purpose. She had the passion. But did she have the plan? Maya stood at her window, staring into the bustling street below, feeling the weight of possibility filling her heart and mind. As she pressed her hand against the glass, she realized she stood at a pivotal moment. Could she harness all this energy and build something lasting, or would the fear of failure steal her thunder before she could even begin? A knock at the door startled her from her thoughts. It was Mrs. Johnson, holding a box brimming with supplies. I heard about your speech. Let us get to work, Maya. Your voice is a light. Let us spread it. Maya felt her heart swell. This could be the start of something bigger. Yet, in the surge of hope, a whisper of doubt remained. What challenges lay ahead? How would they confront the resistance? Caught between the thrill of possibility and the unknown, she grinned, ready for the journey. But the shadows loomed. What if the fight for change was more than she could handle? Mrs. Johnson's enthusiasm was infectious. As Maya stepped aside to let her in, her heart surged with a mix of inspiration and anxiety. The box Mrs. Johnson carried was heavy, filled with supplies that seemed to hum with potential: a whiteboard, markers, stacks of paper, and even a small projector. It was as if her vision for what could be was now tangible, waiting to be unleashed. Where do we start? Maya asked, her voice cutting through the buzzing energy. She glanced at the papers spilling from the box, her mind racing with ideas. First, we establish a space for those stories to be told. Mrs. Johnson's eyes sparkled. Let us create a community workshop. A safe haven where women can come together, share their experiences, and ignite each other's power. Maya closed her eyes for just a moment, imagining a room filled with women laughing, crying, and embracing each other's truths. She wanted to feel that energy crackle in the air, a current of strength running between them. What are we waiting for? She replied with newfound determination. Let us do it. They hurried to set the workshop's date and outlined their vision. Maya felt each word strengthen her resolve. She thought of the raw, powerful stories swirling in her mind, waiting for the right moment to burst forth. They wanted to create a safe space, where vulnerability was met with respect and courage. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across her living room, a text pinged on her phone. It was from an unknown number. Hesitating, she opened it. I heard about your speech. I want to contribute. Let's chat. Her excitement was immediately tainted by a flicker of caution. Who was this person? Was this someone genuinely wanting to support? Or would it turn out to be another empty promise? She frowned but ultimately decided to respond. Sure. What ideas do you have? Before she could think further, Mrs. Johnson interrupted her thoughts. We should also consider a social media campaign, she suggested with a grin. You have something special. Let us amplify it. Maya felt her heart speed up. This was at the moment she had dreamt about. The idea of spreading their message beyond city limits filled her with exhilaration. Together, they brainstormed hashtags, catchy phrases, and compelling visuals to capture attention and inspire action. Voices united, Maya said confidently. That could be our rallying cry. Perfect. It's strong and invokes a sense of community, Mrs. Johnson agreed enthusiastically. As they tapped into the possibilities, night fell, transforming the space into a cocoon of dreams fueled by hope. Maya felt lightheaded from the excitement, yet underneath her joy echoed that stubborn doubt. After saying goodbye to Mrs. Johnson, Maya sat alone at her kitchen table. She watched the darkness gather outside as streetlights flickered on. What if they didn't reach enough people? What if their workshop was a flop? The questions circled her mind like hawks waiting to swoop. But then her phone buzzed again. It was another text, this time from the entrepreneur. I want to help you build this. Let us meet. She felt her breath hitch. The very person who had once dismissed her now offered his support. Could she trust him? What did he truly want in return? With the night deepening around her, Maya's heart surged with ambition and terror. The road ahead was shifting beneath her. Would she have the strength to navigate it? When the moment came to trust, would she be able to take the leap? As she closed her eyes, she could almost hear Mrs. Johnson's words echoing. Your voice is a light. But what if that light faltered in the face of the unknown? Just then, another knock at the door sliced through her reverie. One deep breath. She opened it, barely able to anticipate who or what awaited her. The weight of change hung heavy in the air. Would this be the next step toward transformation or another hurdle? Maya opened the door to reveal a tall figure cloaked in shadows. The streetlight cast a weak glow, illuminating the outline of a man. He looked familiar, but she couldn't place him. The flicker of anxiety curled in her stomach, making her hesitate. Hey, it's me. Daniel, the figure stepped into the light, his face softening into a warm smile. She remembered him now, the entrepreneur from the event. Oh. Hi, Daniel, she responded, her voice wavering slightly. I wasn't expecting you. I know the last time we spoke didn't exactly go the way I intended, he said, shoving his hands into his pockets. I've been thinking a lot, and I realized I want to be part of this. What you're building is important. Maya studied him closely. Could she trust him? His eager attitude contradicted their previous encounter. But the uncertainty came with a tinge of curiosity. What do you have in mind? Let us grab a coffee or something. I can share my ideas and resources. Starting now. He exuded a confidence that pulled her in despite her reservations. She felt a flutter of hope clash with her instinct to guard herself. Okay, sure. Just let me grab my jacket. Outside, the chilly air hit her face, snapping her out of her swirling thoughts. They walked in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken words heavy between them. Daniel glanced at her, as if gauging her mood. I know it's hard, he said finally, breaking the silence. To put yourself out there. To trust people after you've been let down. Maya's heart quickened at his candor. It is. I'm trying to build something that matters, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. They arrived at a small cafe. The lights inside sparkled softly, and the scent of freshly brewed coffee wrapped around them. As they settled into a booth, Maya noticed the enthusiastic buzz of people engaged in conversation. It was a reminder of the community she longed to create. I believe in what you're doing, Maya, Daniel began, his tone earnest. Everyone has stories, and I think you have a unique voice that can inspire others. I want to help amplify that through social media, events, whatever you need. Maya studied him, searching for any hint of insincerity. And why should I trust you this time? Last time felt disconnected. I get that, Daniel said, a flicker of vulnerability flashing across his face. But I've learned a lot since then. I've realized this isn't just a business opportunity. It's personal. My mom faced her own battles. I want to honor her story and help others do the same. His words hung in the air like a delicate thread, weaving an unexpected connection. Maya felt the tension inside her ease, just a bit. Okay, let us talk about specifics. What do you suggest? The two began to brainstorm. Ideas flowed, discussions turned into laughter, and slowly, barriers crumbled. With every word, a sense of possibility began to fill the air, like a balloon swelling with air. She couldn't ignore the spark of hope kindling inside her. As they mapped out their plans, Maya felt the weight of her fears lift just slightly. But amidst the excitement, shadows loomed on the periphery. Would the support continue? Was this collaboration genuinely collaborative, or would it return to past patterns? Daniel leaned in, his eyes bright with determination. You're all in, right? This is our moment to create something big. Her heart raced as she made eye contact. It was a rare invitation, and she felt the materials for a new beginning swirling around them. Yet, uncertainty gnawed at her, whispering doubts of what might come next. As they worked late into the evening, each concept felt like a small victory against the doubts. But just when they began feeling invincible, Maya received another message on her phone, a news alert that made her blood run cold. Local entrepreneur accused of fraud. With her heart pounding, Maya exchanged a troubled glance with Daniel. What could this mean for their ambitions? Would their burgeoning hope be crushed before it even had a chance to blossom? With determination, she knew they had to confront whatever lay ahead. Would they become paragons of resilience or find themselves trapped in a cycle of distrust one more time? Maya's mind raced as she read the headline. The words felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. She looked up at Daniel, whose brow furrowed in concern. What does this mean for us? He asked, a nervous edge creeping into his voice. I don't know, she admitted, trying to keep the tremor out of her tone. This person, they could be talking about you. It could ruin everything we just planned. But it doesn't have to, Daniel said, his confidence wavering for the first time. We can figure this out. Let us dig deeper. Who is this entrepreneur? Is it even related to our project? Maya nodded, heart racing. Doubts churned in her mind, but she couldn't let them overwhelm her. Okay, let us look it up. They pulled out their phones and started scrolling through the news articles flooding in. One after another, headlines screamed accusations. Fraud, scam, mismanaged funds. The articles didn't just discuss business. The entrepreneur's personal life was laid bare, making it impossible to separate fact from gossip. Daniel's face grew pale as he read one particular detail. Although he denied the allegations, many speculated on the integrity of his previous partnerships. What if they connect us to this? What if people think we're involved? Maya's voice cracked. Daniel reached across the table, gripping her hand. Maya, listen. We can't let fear dictate our choices. Let us make a statement. We're not linked to this. We know what we're building here is authentic. We can counter this narrative together. She could see the fire in his eyes, a spark that ignited something in her. But what if they don't believe us? She asked, doubt creeping back in. Then we'll show them. We'll prove that our work speaks for itself. We can share our story, start a conversation. Those words resonated with Maya. Maybe they could use this situation to their advantage. Maybe this was their chance to rise above the noise. You're right, she said, her pulse steadying. I believe in this. I believe in what we can create. As they started drafting their response, the atmosphere in the cafe shifted. The once buzzing sounds of conversations faded into the background. They were in their own world, determined to turn chaos into clarity. Each keystroke felt like a small act of rebellion against the doubt that loomed over them, but just as hope surged, her phone dinged again, a message from her best friend, Sarah. Maya. Can you believe this? People are talking about the connection to you. Be cautious. Maya's breath caught. Could this be worse than she thought? What would Sarah believe? Would she doubt her too? Look, Daniel said, trying to pull her back into the moment. We can't control what others think. We focus on what we can do going forward. We need to create our own narrative. Maya looked into his eyes, feeling the lift of determination. Okay, let's do it. They dove back into action, reworking their plans to include a public event that would showcase their message and commitment to transparency and positivity. In the midst of writing a speech, her mind raced with ideas, her fingers flying across her phone's screen. But fear still tugged at her. Would this truly change perceptions? Or were they digging themselves deeper into a hole? As they continued their excited chatter about strategy and outreach, the lingering anxiety creeped back in, reminding her that things could spiral out of control quickly. Suddenly, Daniel's phone buzzed, and his face paled again. Maya, you need to see this. With dread, she leaned over to look at his screen. The title read, Breaking, Relations Between Entrepreneurs Unraveling New Allegations Against Close Associates. Her heart thudded. What now? Was there more to discover about Daniel? Were they about to get caught in a whirlwind that threatened to take them both down? Maya stared at the screen, her heart feeling like it had dropped to her stomach. The news headline blinked at her, taunting her with the weight it carried. New allegations against close associates. It wasn't just a headline, it was a potential hurricane about to hit their hard-earned plans. Daniel clenched his jaw, his eyes darkening as he read the article. This isn't good, Maya. Not good at all. What does it say? She asked, even though she dreaded the answer. It's saying that this whole scandal reaches deeper than we anticipated. They're tying him to several associates and to us. His voice shook slightly, and Maya could hear the fear that lurked beneath it. What do we do? Her voice trembled, panic flaring up in such an incredibly vulnerable moment. Daniel took a deep breath, forcing calm into the chaos. We have to act quickly. We need to prepare a statement in case this escalates. But we also need to find out what the facts are. If there's a chance we can clear our names before anyone jumps to conclusions, we have to take it. Maya nodded, swallowing the surge of anxiety that threatened to choke her. Right. Let us gather all the information we can. As they began frantically researching, Maya's thoughts raced. What if the allegations spiraled out of control? What if everyone they knew started to turn away from them? Their dreams, their plans, everything they had worked so hard to build felt like it was on the brink of collapse. Amid the articles and commentary flooding their screens, one phrase caught Maya's attention: unprecedented review. It was as if the universe had shifted beneath them, rocking their very foundation. What did that mean for their venture? "Daniel," she said, feeling the weight of the moment, "if the scrutiny is this intense, what if we don't survive this? What if we lose everything?" He looked over at her, his expression turning serious. "We need to show our integrity, Maya. If we buckle in the face of adversity, we're giving up. We can't afford to do that." With determination reshaping her perspective, Maya felt the wave of despair recede, allowing the flickering flame of resolve to shine through. "How do we fight back?" she asked, ready to engage in a combat of words and perceptions rather than fear. "Let us expose the truth. We'll document everything we know, maybe even reach out to a few trusted journalists who can help spread the word. This is not about becoming victims, it's about taking our narrative back." Maya's heart raced at the prospect. She could feel the adrenaline pumping through her veins. "You're right. That's the plan. We have to be the ones to define who we are in this story, not just pawns in someone else's game." They worked late into the night, mapping out their strategy and writing down everything they had to say. As words flew across the document, Maya thought about how often they had been discouraged along their journey, how they had fought unfair judgments even before this scandal. This moment was just another battle. Suddenly, her phone vibrated again. It was a call from Sarah. "Maya. Did you see the newest post? It's worse. Right now everyone thinks you two are involved in all this mess." Maya exchanged a quick glance with Daniel. His eyes were wide, mirroring the panic seeping into her veins. "Sarah, we can explain." "We're not involved, I believe you," Sarah interrupted, her voice unwavering. "But others are already making decisions. You need to act fast." Hanging up, the reality of the situation descended on Maya like a shroud. "We don't have time," she exclaimed. "Then let us do this," Daniel said, his voice steady. "Let us make our statement. If we can align our supporters and set the record straight, we won't just be battling alone." Determination coursed through her. "Okay, let us go all in." As they dove back into action, the fear that had haunted them turned to fire. But in the back of Maya's mind, unease lingered, the thought that the truth might be harder to uncover than they realized. The next morning, as they prepared for the press conference, one question loomed large in Maya's mind: would the truth be powerful enough to shatter the storms surrounding them, or would they find themselves overwhelmed by the waves crashing down around them? The morning broke dull and gray, like the weight pressing on Maya's chest. The day of the press conference loomed ahead, a ticking clock of tension and uncertainty. As she and Daniel stood in front of the mirror, she could see the shadows under his eyes, the way his hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his tie. It was a small thing, a detail most people wouldn't notice, but to her, it signified the anxiety swirling between them. "Are you ready?" Maya asked, her voice a fragile whisper. Daniel took a moment, as if weighing the world in his gaze. "As ready as we can be," he replied, a hint of determination breaking through the cracks of his worry. They arrived at the venue, and the crowd of reporters buzzed like an angry swarm. Cameras clicked like cannon fire, each flash illuminating their resolve, but also their vulnerabilities. Maya felt the heat rise in her cheeks. She had dedicated herself to this vision, and now it felt like her life's work was pinned to this very moment. "Stick to the facts," she reminded herself. "Be clear. Be strong." When they stepped out into the harsh light, the murmurings quieted. Eyes locked onto them, expecting, judging. "Today, we're here to set the record straight," Daniel began, his voice steady despite the tempest inside. Maya could see the sincerity in his eyes. It was a lifeline. "Recent allegations linking us to the current scandal are not rooted in fact," she added, her heart racing. "We've worked tirelessly to build a community of integrity, and that is what we stand for. The truth doesn't bend, it stands strong." As they spoke, Maya felt a surge of energy coursing through her, binding them to their purpose. But just as they gained momentum, a reporter's voice cut through with a sharp question. But how do you respond to the people who believe you're involved in this? The challenge was palpable. The crowd leaned in, anticipation feeding the tension. Maya took a breath, steadying herself against the storm brewing in the room. We do not respond to rumors, she said, her voice stronger. We respond with accountability. We've gathered evidence, and we are actively cooperating with the investigation. It's about the truth, not the gossip. The murmur of the crowd rippled, a chorus of emotions. Some were skeptical, some curious, but she could also see those nodding, start to believe. But it wasn't enough. She could feel an urgency rising, the need to connect beyond the headlines, to touch hearts instead of just sharing words. Look, I know what it's like to be judged, she continued, recalling her own past of facing prejudice. To be defined by others' assumptions. But we are more than what's being said. This community means everything to us. We know who we are, and we won't be silenced by lies. Within those statements, she saw a flicker of recognition in some faces in the crowd. A shared understanding. Questions morphed into something less hostile, turning into a conversation that she had yearned for. She was no longer just fighting for her name but standing for everyone who had ever felt unjustly accused. Maya felt her phone vibrate in her pocket, but she ignored it. Focused on her purpose, she leaned in, feeling the words lift her. We will fight for the truth because the truth is what sets us free. Together, we can rise beyond this chaos and create a future we believe in. The silence that ensued was heavy, then slowly, one brave soul in the crowd broke it with a question about their future plans. Maya relaxed, realizing they had shifted from defense to dialogue. After the conference concluded, a wave of reporters approached them, each wanting to hear more. As they navigated the aftermath, Daniel turned to her, his expression softened with admiration. You were fearless. I was just tired of being a victim, Maya confessed, still feeling the adrenaline pumping. I want us to write our own story now. Their resolve strengthened, they walked towards their car. Then, her phone buzzed vigorously. A message flashed on the screen. We need to talk. I have important information about the allegations. Maya's heart raced at the words. Was this the break they needed, or another twist in the storm? Daniel, we have to find out what this is about, she said, her voice a mix of hope and trepidation. Let us do it. Whatever it takes, he replied, determination etched on his face, but whatever it takes could mean anything. As they drove away from the hustle of the venue, the question hung in the air, was the truth still out there waiting for them? Or were they stepping into a new danger? The car hummed softly as they sped away from the press conference, the city's skyline blurring past. Maya felt a flurry of thoughts race through her mind, each one colliding with the intensity of the moment. The message on her phone felt like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters, but it also carried a weight of dread. Do you think it's about the allegations? Daniel asked, glancing at her, concern shadowing his face. I don't know, Maya replied, fiddling with her phone, her fingers trembling slightly. Part of me wants it to be the break we need. But what if it's something worse? What if it changes everything? We won't know until we talk to them, he said, his voice firm. The truth has a way of coming out. We just need to be ready for whatever it is. Maya nodded, though the knot in her stomach tightened. They pulled up to a remote cafe on the outskirts of town, a small, unassuming place that seemed a world away from the madness of the press conference. She spotted a figure seated at the back, their face obscured by the shadows of a wide-brimmed hat. Is that them? Daniel pointed, his brow furrowed. Only one way to find out, Maya said, gathering her courage as they stepped out of the car and made their way inside. The cafe was eerily quiet, the clinking of cups the only sound slicing through the tense atmosphere. As they approached the table, the figure looked up, revealing a familiar face. It was an old colleague of Maya's from the nonprofit sector, someone she had trusted once but hadn't spoken to in years. Sarah. Maya's voice was hesitant, a mixture of surprise and confusion. "Hey, Maya. Glad you came," Sarah said, a hint of urgency glittering in her eyes. "We have a lot to discuss, and not much time." They settled across from her, the air thickening with unspoken words. Sarah leaned in closer, glancing around discreetly. "I've been following everything that's happening," she started, her voice barely above a whisper. "There are forces at play here that you can't imagine. The allegations are part of a bigger scheme." A wave of disbelief washed over Maya, but she swallowed it down, focusing instead on the gravity of Sarah's tone. "What do you mean? People want to tarnish your reputation in Daniel's. They're leveraging the allegations to disrupt community stability. They're scared of the progress you represent," Sarah explained, each word weighted with conviction. "I have documents, evidence, things that can prove your innocence." "Where did you get this information?" Daniel asked, his brow furrowing deeper. "It came from a source within the system. I can't say too much, but I know someone who is willing to help you if you're willing to take the risk," Sarah replied, her eyes darting around again as if expecting someone to burst through the door at any moment. Maya's heart raced. Trusting this information was dangerous, but the possibility of clearing their names, of fighting back, ignited a fire within her. She exchanged a glance with Daniel, who was equally cautious but clearly intrigued. "What's the catch?" Maya asked, her voice steady despite her rising apprehension. "There's always a catch," Sarah admitted, biting her lip. "You'll need to act fast and be prepared for the consequences. People won't just let this go. It involves more than just you. There are bigger players at hand, and if they get wind of you digging deeper." "Maya," Daniel interrupted, his face serious. "This could be our chance. But we have to think carefully. We can't rush into something we don't fully understand." Maya felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. The hope was intoxicating, but the fear of becoming a target loomed large. Her gaze locked onto Sarah, who was waiting for a final decision. "Let's get the documents," Maya finally said, her voice steady. "We have to fight back. We need the truth." As they moved to finalize their plans, the cafe door swung open, and a chill passed over them. A tall figure stepped in, eyes scanning the room until they landed on Maya. The familiar face twisted into a smirk, and a jolt of fear shot down her spine. "Looks like the party's just getting started," the newcomer said, and Maya's heart sank. What had they walked into? Next chapter, would this foe tear them apart once and for all, or could they unite and rise against the dark tides ahead? Maya's skin prickled with unease as the figure strode closer. The smirk widened, revealing a confidence that dripped with numbers of their past encounters. It was Edgar, a journalist she had once believed in, someone who had promised to uplift the voices of the marginalized. Now, he stood as an embodiment of betrayal, ready to capitalize on her misfortunes. "You," Maya breathed, fury mixing with disbelief. "What are you doing here?" Edgar leaned casually against the edge of their table, his presence both authoritative and menacing. "Just checking in on my favorite non-profit warriors," he said, a mocking tone coloring his words. "Seems like you've stirred quite the pot." I was intrigued. "I don't have time for games, Edgar," Daniel interjected, his voice low and tense. "This isn't your story to tell." "Isn't it?" Edgar shot back. "Your story is already out there. The allegations, the scandal, everyone is eating it up." His eyes sparkled with something sinister. "And I could give you a little more exposure. Just think of the headlines." Maya could feel her pulse thrumming in her ears. The cafe, once a refuge, felt like a cage now. "We're not interested," she said, trying to mask the tremor in her voice, desperately scanning Sarah's face for support, but Sarah was frozen, her expression a blend of shock and concern. She hadn't anticipated this confrontation. Edgar had a way of digging beneath the surface, exposing insecurities, and Maya knew she had to stand firm. "Why don't you leave while you still can?" Daniel said, his protective instincts flaring as he tried to shield Maya from Edgar's relentless energy. "Oh, I'll leave, don't worry," Edgar replied, stepping back slightly. "But not without leaving you a parting gift." He pulled out his phone and pointed it at them, the camera flashing ominously. "A little exclusive for my followers. A tale of wannabe activists dragged through the mud. That should get people talking." Maya's breath quickened. She understood his game-twisting narratives, half-truths, creating theater from tragedy. This was about more than just her, it was about the entire movement. The very thing they had worked so hard for. "Stop. You don't know what you're doing," she said, desperation creeping into her tone. "This isn't just for clicks. These are real lives you're toying with." Edgar paused, contemplating her words, then shrugged. "Real lives? This is the world we live in, Maya. It's a circus, and you're the main act. Either play along or watch it all burn." With that, he stepped away, leaving the faint smell of danger lingering in the air. As Edgar left the cafe, the tension broke slightly, but Maya felt a storm brewing inside her. She locked eyes with Daniel and then turned to Sarah. There was an understanding in the air, they each knew their fight was about to get harder. "I refuse to let him control this narrative," Maya declared, heart racing with a renewed sense of determination. "We need to get those documents from you now." Sarah nodded, shaking off her shock. "I have a safe place we can go. But we need to be careful, Edgar won't be the last to come after you." Maya took a deep breath, adrenaline surging. "Then let us move. We have to stay ahead of this." As they slipped out of the cafe, the weight of their mission pressed down heavily, but there was a flicker of hope within. They were not just fighting for their images, they were igniting a revolution. Just as they stepped outside, the street seemed to swell with a crowd. Whispers of concern floated through the air, and Maya felt the eyes of the public upon her. Could this many people believe in them? "Are you ready for what's coming?" Daniel asked, his voice a whisper above the clamor. "I have to be," Maya replied, determination washing over her like cool water, but the question lingered in her mind as they fought their way through the crowd. What if standing up would only put them in deeper danger? Maya's heart raced as she faced the crowd swelling around her. She felt their eyes upon her, scrutiny mingling with a strange, electric support. With Daniel next to her and Sarah leading the way, determination surged within her. They were no longer hiding in the shadows, they were stepping into the light, ready to confront the darkness lurking around them. As they walked through the thrumming energy of the streets, Maya glanced up. She saw faces painted with concern, curiosity, and an unfathomable hope. "They believe in us," she thought, her pulse matching the quickening cadence of her footsteps. No longer just a victim of circumstances, she was ready to reclaim her narrative and redefine her story. They slipped into a nearby community center, a modest place where lives converged in warmth and friendship. The walls were adorned with photographs of triumph, the faces of women who had overcome adversity, their smiles lighting up the darkness. It reminded Maya of her purpose. She was not alone. She had her community, and together, they could rise. As she stepped into the small conference room, the trio set their plans in motion. "We need to present the truth, not just respond to the allegations," Sarah urged, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. Maya nodded fervently, her mind racing with ideas. They had to reach out to their supporters, create a movement that encouraged stories of resilience. How about hosting a community event? A gathering to unify our voices and showcase our truth? "Yes!" Daniel exclaimed, excitement suddenly igniting his eyes. "We can extend the invitation to everyone, press, allies, even skeptics, welcome them all to bear witness to our stories." The energy in the room shifted. It was contagious. They worked tirelessly through the night, fueled by bottled coffee and the electric buzz of hope. They crafted flyers, drafted speeches, and brainstormed hashtags that could ignite social media. Voices united, Maya affirmed as they settled on the phrase. She felt in her bones that they could create a powerful force, one that could counter the negativity trying to drag them under. News of the upcoming event spread quickly, igniting interest and curiosity throughout the community. Days turned into a blur as they fielded phone calls, coordinated the details, and rallied support. Yet, somewhere in the back of her mind, the shadow of doubt lingered. Would they be heard? Would this be enough? The day of the event dawned bright and clear, the sun pouring in like a golden invitation. As Maya stepped up to the podium in front of a bustling crowd, she felt a rush of nerves but also an undeniable thrill. This was her moment. She glanced over the sea of faces, familiar ones filled with warmth and encouragement, alongside newer ones showing support and curiosity. She cleared her throat, feeling a swell of strength bubble up within her. "Thank you all for coming today," she began, her voice ringing clear. "We stand together, united by truths that deserve to flourish." Each word resonated like a heartbeat, drawing the audience in closer. As she shared her journey, threading together tales of struggle, resilience, and love, she could feel the atmosphere shifting. The crowd leaned in, their hearts opening with each story she shared. No longer did she feel like the underdog. She felt like a force, unfurling into something magnificent. Once she finished, the applause erupted like fireworks, filling the air with joy and solidarity. Daniel stepped up next, followed by Sarah, each sharing their stories and the mission behind their collaboration. The energy was palpable, each honed word transformed fear into unity, compelling the audience to reflect and engage. And then came the moment she had longed for: the press. Edgar was there, standing at the back, eyes wide, slightly flummoxed by the energy he had underestimated. Without malice now, he raised his hand. "Can I have a word?" "Absolutely, Edgar," Maya replied, her heart steady. "Our truth is worth inviting even those who doubt us." As the questions flowed, Maya held firm, shutting down any doubt with steadfast resolve. "We are not defined by allegations or fear. We are a community of strength." With each response, she felt herself transform, no longer a victim but a leader. The event culminated in a spontaneous movement of unity. People began to share their stories, too. Voices rose, weaving a beautiful and unbreakable tapestry that resonated in the room: strides of resilience, battles won, and dreams unapologetically reclaimed. Maya closed her eyes for a moment, soaking in the laughter, the tears, and the overwhelming sense of belonging. She felt love surrounding her, an embracing warmth that melted away the fears that had once consumed her. When the event gathered momentum, the stories igniting flames of hope, Maya beamed with pride. The shadows had lifted. Together, they had transformed turmoil into empowerment, proving that adversity could spark profound strength. The voices united became a testimony, a powerful reminder that they would not be broken. They would carry on, amplifying each other. In that moment, Maya knew they would rise beyond the storm stronger, bolder, and filled with unstoppable spirit. As the last of the audience filtered out and the day waned into twilight, Maya stood with Daniel and Sarah, feeling an exhilarating mixture of exhaustion and triumph. Against the odds, they had forged a path, a legacy that would inspire others to embrace their truth and stand strong. Maya felt a tear slip down her cheek. This was joy, pure and unfiltered. Embracing this new reality, she sighed, finally knowing that the fight to reclaim her life had affirmed her worth and resilience. This was not just the end, this was the beginning. Now, let's make sure you don't miss a second of this incredible journey. You need to subscribe right now to the channel so you can be the first to know about our next exclusive stories. Leave a like right this moment to feed the algorithm and show your support. I'm counting on you to comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Each action matters, and you know only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel in every way.